We are used to seeing music. Graphs, spectrums, colorful waveforms bouncing all over our screens. But 30 or 40 years ago, musicians didn't look at music. They listened to it. And that tiny difference changed everything. Not just the way our gear looks, but the way music itself feels. Back in the 80s and early 90s, synth and effect manufacturers were limited by technology. Screens showed maybe 2 lines of a few characters if you were lucky, so hardware designers focused on something else entirely. Logical and ergonomic layouts, that tactile joy of buttons and knobs feedback, and keeping that in a reasonable budget. And most importantly, musicians relied on their ears. They heard the result instead of watching it. That's why using those instruments felt emotional and inspiring. The act of creating sound was already kind of magic. And what do we have now? Imagine the last track you made. What's the first thing that popped into your head? A sound, a particular plugin, or maybe your DAW? Most likely it's some kind of image. Over the last 20 years, hardware has almost completely turned into software. Its visuals evolving from pure emulation into something entirely new and sometimes even weird. But the biggest changes happened inside the DAWs. Digital audio workstations now packed with endless visualizations. Developers gave users what they wanted. Shiny matters, jumping values, colorful lines and envelopes, waveform and spectrum visualizations, constant motion and visual stimulation everywhere. The industry pulled in more and more people with little audio experience, inviting everyone to give it a try. And slowly, the software ecosystem's focus shifted away from creating to simply watching music happen. DAW tracks now glow like Christmas trees. Every plugin is trying to visualize every tiny movement, even when it doesn't help at all. Sound design turned into a light show, and in that show, the sound itself got lost. We started caring more about how music looks than how it feels or what it does to us. The focus has shifted. Technological progress has freed us from so many daily chores, but it also took away something far more important: focus. With stimulated and shortened time for our favorite hobbies, we are now living in the age of focus economy, and the results are starting to show. With steep plugin sales are dropping, big companies are either merging or shutting down, new musicians are burning out before they even begin. And the ones who stay, they're turning back to hardware. Even AI is finishing off what's left, flooding the world with predictable and generic tracks. Today, every new hit sounds almost exactly like the previous one. We simply can't focus anymore. We can't identify or find anything truly new in our music. When we are visually overstimulated, our cognitive load increases, making it harder to learn, harder to concentrate, almost impossible to enter that creative flow. That's why the magic of feeling music inside our heads is slowly disappearing. Musicians have highly developed neural networks that tightly link the brain's auditory, motor, and imaginative regions. This let them hear music inside their heads, even without any external sound. And interestingly, during the creative process, the brain's visual areas actually reduce their activity, almost as if they switch off to make space for hearing, imagination, and emotional integration. Maybe that's the real clue. Decades ago, music was innovative, emotional, and diverse because design forced us to focus on the act of creation itself, on the feeling, on what we touch and hear, not what we see. It's time to remember that lesson. Software audio product design should bring back the pleasure of making music, not just looking at it. Let's refocus on sound, inspiration, and the process itself. Because if we don't, we risk losing not just innovation, variety, and emotion in music, but the very magic of making music.